Welcome to the Ergo2go podcast, everybody. We bring this to you from the back school and from Ability on Demand as we meet with people in our field and what they're doing to better the world. Today I have with me live from Las Vegas, Paul Roberts. Paul Roberts is a Certified Ergonomic Assessment Specialist and also a secretary for a local chapter of the American Society of Safety Professionals. Paul also works for a tech firm that's known as Modjoul. We'll get into that in a little bit, but first I want to welcome Paul. Paul, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's good to have you on. And so you're in Vegas right now, getting ready for the big Ergo Expo. Is that right?
That's right. In nice Las Vegas. It's pretty warm here, but Ergo Expo going on. As you can see, we're getting set up and ready to get going on the expo side.
Oh, well, you know, the fun is being able to try out all the cool stuff. So have you tried out any of the chairs there yet or anything like that?
Yeah, you know, that's the first thing people want to come here and do is sit in the chairs. There's a nice cool tool company next door with some neat pneumatic tools. So sure enough, getting in before everybody else gets here and taking advantage of being able to look at some of the stuff before all the other folks get in.
It's exciting, and we're happy that you agreed to talk with us about it and your work there as well. So let me ask you a couple of things. Let's go with a little bit of background before we get into what you're doing right now. I understand you went to UNC Chapel Hill, real good school, and among other things, you majored in some football. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I did major in scholastic part too, peace, war, and defense, but played football and had a great time there and learned a lot. And then learning about your body from an ergonomics perspective is great insight, being able to know what your body's telling you. And I learned a lot of that with football.
I was going to say, you probably learned some good lessons from the game. Any that stand out that you've carried forward with you?
It's always been an athletic position. So, lifting, standing, any kind of movements, there's a purpose to it. So move with a purpose is kind of
Understood.
a mindset that I've carried with my since then.
And I understand you also evolved into a career for some time as a general contractor. So are there some things you've learned along that path that have stuck with you?
Yeah, that's great. Anybody in the ergonomics field or the safety field knows that construction is loaded with opportunities and a lot of risk. And it's one of those jobs where you can only mitigate so much risk. You can't eliminate everything. But being a general contractor, also learning all the trades. I've learned how to do all of them. So physically doing those, it really helps with when you're speaking to somebody doing an ergonomic assessment, being able to give them feedback and knowing how the job is or the task is done and what it takes to do it, and being able to get good feedback from a hands-on perspective.
Do you find that that lends a certain credibility to someone like you when you're in the field and speaking with people who actually do the job? You get to speak their vernacular in a way that kind of wins them over?
Yes, and I'm probably a little atypical to most ergonomists is that I don't have a PT background or an OT background. I'm no medical training. I trained through the back school and that's been able to give me insight to the ergonomic field, but taking those experiences and the hands-on work, being able to talk to people, they listen to you a little more when they think that you know what they're doing. That they feel that you're invested in what they're doing and you can talk to them on their level of vernacular, as you said. So yeah, it lends a great deal to being able to go out in the field and speak to construction worker or somebody working on an assembly line.
It's not all abstract and academic to you. You've got an inside track, and that's one of the reasons I found your story so intriguing, because I might describe you as one of our non-traditional students, but I mean that in the highest sense.
Yeah, it's been good because I'm able to take my past and my experiences and my work and learn the ergonomic side of it and help people. So being able to take both of those and to be able to talk to people and help people is great.
It's got to be. It's got to be very rewarding, especially like you say, as someone who's worn the belt, so to speak, out on the construction site. You've got an insight into that field that very few of us have unless we've actually slung a hammer or we've actually chopped some mud. And I speak with a little bit of experience there myself, having done some of those jobs. It's not only good for you physically, it's also good for your character and good for you, shall we say, intellectually as well. Is that safe to say?
It is. And you know, part of my past history too, I was a wildland firefighter. So you spend time out west on a mountain with 40, 50 pounds of gear on your back, and you're bent over with a Pulaski digging line for 12, 13, 14 hours. You know, when we start talking about ergonomics, that's an inherently dangerous job, and there's only so much you can do to eliminate, you know, the hazards. But again, it goes back having that experience to know that we can't eliminate everything. So being able to be able to mitigate issues is a big, it's one of the things that I try to focus on, because we can't eliminate it all. So we try to find those areas to mitigate it.
I like how you put that. You know, we're often challenged with engineering the risk out of the job. Well, engineering the risk out of the job will probably engineer the job out of existence. That's kind of the reality when we start talking about expenditures. And it's always nice to be able to sum things up that way. But it does not mean that we can always pull that off for the client right out of the gate. If you have a moment, we're going to just pause for a second, and we're going to come back and get into step 2 or phase 2 of this. If you're listening online, please stay tuned. We'll be right back with Paul Roberts live at the Ergo Expo in Las Vegas.